Hello, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. It's been a minute since I did a live stream. I am going to just make a couple announcements and then I'm going to jump right into this list of 5 habits. If you're watching live, go ahead and leave me a comment in the chat. Let me know that you're here, where you're watching from. But first couple of announcements. First announcement, next Sunday, January the 9th, I am teaching an online workshop. It'll be about 90 minutes, and it is called Building Your Perfect Quantum Day. So a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about, actually all the things I'm going to talk about in this live stream we're going to go way more into depth. And then I'll be able to actually answer questions for those of you who have questions regarding some of the things that I bring up and go more into how to apply these things into your daily life. If you've got a job or you work weird hours, you have kids, all these different things, that's going to be addressed in that workshop. And that is going to be linked in the information section below this video. I have a ton of stuff I'm going to reference in this video. So I actually linked a whole bunch of studies in the information section. All right, I see people commenting on the side here. So welcome everybody watching live. But everything I talk about today, I really wanted to back up with information because a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about, when I first heard about them, I was just very skeptical. And it took me a while to adopt these things as habits. But once I did, I saw huge changes in not only my metabolism and my appetite, but also my mood and my energy. I'm just a much happier person than I was a year ago. So I'm really passionate and excited about sharing these things with you guys because they're things that you can start doing right now. Most of them that you can do for free or find, I'll suggest products, but you can find another hack and do it basically for free. It doesn't involve buying a bunch of supplements or anything, and it will actually change your metabolism, your hormonal profile. And I think these are things that are being overlooked by people in the carnivore community, keto community, which I still, I'm part of that, I believe. I still definitely am. But I feel like more of us need to be talking about these things because people are just so focused on the food only and they're not making any progress. So awesome. I see you guys commenting. Happy New Year to you guys, Oklahoma and Texas watching. So thank you guys for being here. All right, so let me just jump right into item number 1 on the list, and that is going to be sunrise. Now, I linked a study in the information section that actually talks about how closely circadian rhythms and metabolism are linked. And I have talked about this a lot in other videos this year, but when you can view sunrise in the morning, it is giving your body a signal to stop producing melatonin. So we are still making a little bit of melatonin that first hour of the day, and then to start making cortisol. And we don't want the cortisol to spike way up. We don't want this huge cortisol spike because what's that going to do? That is going to make our appetite crazy, right? Cortisol and appetite are so closely related. Cortisol and blood glucose are so closely related. So a little story about me, I had a really hard time regulating my blood glucose, even with 0 carbs. Even when I did, low to moderate protein and high fat, and I took out fasting, I took out all those other stressors, I was gaining weight and I was still dealing with fasting blood glucose numbers in the 90s and 100. So what I had was a mismatched cortisol issue. Yay, Tammy's here. It's a snow day. Tammy's in my private membership group, and I'm going to talk about community at the end here. It's actually not one of the 5 things, but I did tack it on the end. And so a lot of these habits, when we're trying to bring them in, it's really helpful to have a supportive group around you. So I do have a private membership group that is always open. If anyone wants to join, that's also linked in the information section. And Tammy is in my group. And I'm so blessed that she's in there. It's just, I have so many lovely people in there. And we just hang out, talk. And it's just a great environment. Very supportive if you're trying to do some of these things. So again, calories in, calories out matters. There's so many people that say, it's all hormones. It's not, it's still, if you want to lose weight, it's still calories in, calories out. But the really difficult thing I think for people to grasp is if your cortisol is all screwed up, you're going to just be more hungry. Your blood glucose is going to be higher. And so you're going to really be fighting this uphill battle when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to actually eating in a calorie deficit. If your cortisol is, way too high at the wrong times of day, or it spikes up way high in the morning, or it's really high at night, which is a big problem for a lot of people. And I'll get to that on the next point. That regulation of appetite is just going to be a huge uphill battle. That's definitely what happened to me. I was just struggling with a lot of extra weight. And I had someone comment on my channel the other day, quit talking about your 30-pound weight loss. We're all tired of hearing about it. And I was like, guess what? You've never seen my email inbox. You've never seen my direct messages on Instagram. I get blown up constantly with people who are doing carnivore, they're doing keto, and they cannot lose weight. And so I am going to keep talking about the fact that I lost 30 pounds by doing these habits that I'm talking about in this video today. And I see we got Joy here too. She is from Utah. She's also in my group. And hello, Aja. I got a couple of Texans watching. So that's, I'm sorry if it annoys people that I talk about weight loss. Actually, I'm not sorry. But that is why, because it's something that people struggle with. And these things go beyond weight loss because your body needs to repair when you're sleeping. And if you have, your cortisol is too high, you're not going to be able to repair in your sleep. So let's say you're struggling with autoimmune or thyroid or some other condition, and weight loss is just like the bottom of your list, or let's say you're struggling to put on weight, which some people do have that issue. All of these habits are also going to help your body to heal and to get re-regulated. So that's number one, is sunrise every morning. I recommend people do not look at your phone first thing in the morning. I know it's a really difficult habit to break. The other thing that I do, it's a really loud airplane, and it's number 2 on my list, is going to be, actually it ties in with number 1, it's going to be blue blockers at appropriate times. So, and I had a lot of people on my last video ask me, could you please just do a video about how you use your blue blocker? So I'm going to explain it here. And then I will probably in the next couple of weeks just do a separate video to kind of just have it in a simple place that I can reference to people, because I get asked that a lot. So in the morning when I wake up, these come on. These are my red raw optics, okay, blue blockers. Now, in the information section, there is a video by my friend Matt Maruka, of why you can't just, you can do whatever you want. Why it's not a great idea, if you want the benefits of blue blocking glasses, to just buy some cheap ones on Amazon. It is an investment. He actually shows you guys what a spectrometer is and shines the spectrometer through different blue blocker glasses. And you can see these cheaper glasses they're saying are blue blockers. They're not actually blue blockers. So you get the cheaper brand, you're not going to actually get the benefits. And what you want, again, your eyes tell your body, let's turn off melatonin. Let's start making cortisol in a very gradual way. You go outside and then you get that UVA light, which is between 8 and 10. Your body says, let's make dopamine, serotonin, tyrosine, tryptophan, all these things. Like, let's turn all these hormones on in this beautiful, symphonic, gradual way, right? And that is going to start your day. But if I wake up before sunrise, because it's winter right now, so winter is the perfect time to start your sunrise practice, guys, because the sun comes up pretty late in the winter. It's like 7:41, I think 7:42 was sunrise here. And the way that I know what time sunrise and sunset is I have the D-Minder app. You can just Google D-Minder app. It'll tell you sunrise and sunset time. So you know that going into it. So wintertime, the sun comes up late. So if I'm up before sunrise, which I am a lot of days, I will do a 20-minute meditation, and then I will put on the red blue blockers because I'm trying to keep everything nice and dim to tell my body, let's stay in that chill mode. Then I go outside, I look at the sunrise without the glasses on, obviously, and I try to sit out there. This morning it was really cold and windy. So I went out right at sunrise. I went out at like 7:40. I know sunrise was 7:42. Took my shoes off, stood in the yard 5 minutes, was like freezing. That's fine. And then I went back inside and I put on the yellow glasses because I already got the signal from sun. So these are the day lenses, the screen lenses. Okay. And then I just put those back on as I was inside, getting everyone ready for the day. And then I would go back outside. I try to just go in and out for 5 minutes at a time. And some of you guys live in a much colder climate than I do. So I understand it's hard. Wintertime can be hard, but it's a really great time for you to set this habit so that when, sunrise is going to get earlier in the summertime, it's way early. So if you set it up now, if you start it now, you're going to be so used to it by summer, it's not going to be a struggle. Hello, John. He always comments on my videos. Nice to see you on here. And then another brand of blue blockers that I trust is Viva Rays. Now, Rudy is the podcast guest this week. He's the inventor of Viva Rays. Now, these are kind of cool because there's a base. Oops. It would be nice if I did not drop them and break them. There is, God bless. Do you guys know I'm a huge klutz? So there's a base layer and then there's a clip on. So you can clip on the yellow lenses, boop, and then you can clip on the red lenses. Okay, so that's another option if you don't want to buy the raw optics. So the red lenses, whether it's Viva Rays red or raw optics red, those go on before sunrise. Now, if I'm here in the day, the reason I don't have these yellow screen lenses on right now is because I have a software on my computer called Iris software. So it is naturally blocking out that blue light. If I go and I work on my computer separate during the day or phone, I will put on my yellow lenses if I'm in the house or if I'm in a grocery store or if I'm somewhere where there's like really nasty lighting, I will put on the yellow lenses. So yellow lenses are daytime, or if you're really in some bad lighting, okay, that's where you'd want to wear those. And the red ones are for before sunrise and after sunset. So like I said, I'll make a whole separate video on the blue blockers, but in the information section, again, there's a video about why you got to be really careful about the brands of blue blockers that you buy, because you could be getting seriously ripped off because most people don't own a $1,000 spectrometer, which is what's going to like tell the truth of like what light rays are actually getting through. Most people don't own one of those. And so that you can just say, oh, these are great blue blockers, just buy them on Amazon, right? So again, we are talking about setting your circadian rhythms. And I actually put a study in the information section about blue light and cortisol. So how blue light at inappropriate times of the day can boost your cortisol and your glucose, right? So that is, again, where I talk about in point 1, how dysregulated appetite. You're hungry at the wrong times. You can't go into a calorie deficit because you just feel like you're going to hurt somebody. I've been there and done that. That was me before I discovered circadian biology, quantum physics. I was just like, I cannot do this. And I had all this extra weight. I couldn't lose it no matter what I did until I did this. So again, I put studies in there. There's another study in there about how suppression of blue light at night actually helps with metabolic abnormalities, which is what I was just talking about. So if you're hungry at the wrong times of day, that's a metabolic abnormality. If you have extra weight, you can't lose it, you can't put yourself in a calorie deficit, that's a metabolic abnormality. Yes, so this is a good question. Are there blue blockers for prescription glasses? Yes, both raw optics and Viva Rays, which are both linked in the information section, they have an option where you can send your prescription in and they will make the glasses for you. So, and I have people in my private group who have used both companies. Both give them a shining review. Again, Matt has been on the podcast, and Rudy, who is the owner of Viva Rays, is going to be on the podcast this week. Such an awesome conversation. So definitely make sure you're subscribed so you can check that out. So I hope that really, I know I spent a long time on point number 1, but point number 1 is basically like you're seeing sunrise at the right time of day. You're blocking out junk light, artificial light at night, especially. And then in the day, if you're in an office with a bunch of fluorescent lighting and stuff, then you want to wear those yellow screen lenses. If you're on your computer a lot and you don't have that ability to install Iris software on your computer, you want to put those screen lenses on. I also keep my windows open. Even if it's chilly here, I keep my windows open and I tell people, take a light break. People get to take smoke breaks. You should ask your job to pretend it's a smoke break. I don't know, you might get in trouble for that. Some employers are strict about that stuff now. But you should be able to take a light break to go outside at little chunks of the day. This is quantum means like a small dose for a big result. So you don't have to spend hours and hours outside. If you can, awesome. I did that this year and it made a huge difference for me, but you don't have to spend hours. It's just chunks of time here and there. And I'll answer this question. It's going to be, what time of day do you use your red light? At night. I do not use my red light at night. I use my red light as long as the sun is out, because the sun always has a little bit of red in it. And so it's more circadian appropriate for me to use a red light during the day while the sun is out. So I will not use it. I won't use it after sunset, and I try not to use it before sunrise unless I'm using it just to illuminate the home. I don't put it on my body. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Number 2 is going to be circadian eating and fasting. So when I'm at sunrise, I eat breakfast now. And this is new for me. I did not eat breakfast for a long time. I was very much into intermittent fasting, and I still intermittent fast. But the way I intermittent fast is I will stop eating at lunch or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then I will not eat until the next day at breakfast, right? I would say 5 days a week, I'm eating breakfast. There might be, and probably 6 days, honestly. Now, there might be one day a week where I'm like, I'm going to do a 24-hour fast. I'm feeling like I could just, do it. But I don't push the skip breakfast more than a couple days a week, maybe 2 days a week max. I'm skipping breakfast, but that is it. And that is also because I'm very leptin sensitive now. I have lost the weight that I need to lose. My cortisol is great. My sleep is great. All of those circadian rhythms are like on point. So if I skip a breakfast one day a week or so, it's not a huge deal. But the problem with, and it's again, circadian eating and fasting, this goes with the lighting. Food is a signal to your body. And we want to give our body signals at the appropriate times. If you eat at night before bed, a really heavy meal, I'm sure you guys already know this, it's harder to sleep because your body needs to repair, your liver needs to repair at that time. If you're processing a bunch of food, it's just going to be a lot harder to sleep. So I recommend people do not eat after sunset. And I know that can be really tough for people in the winter. Some places the sun's going down at like 3 in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock here. So I feel like I'm pretty lucky. I'm in a pretty mild climate. So that's not hard for me. But if you're, I would just say have a bigger meal earlier in the day. And if you need to have a little something before bed, if you're just really hungry and you're not going to be able to sleep, have something, like with some nice fat in it and like some broth with butter in it, something like that, that's like going to hold you over. It's going to give you a little energy, but it's not going to disrupt your sleep because again, the circadian eating and fasting, this is also going to help to regulate your hormones, and weight loss is a hormonal process. Yes, it's calories in, calories out, but if your hormones are whacked out, it's just going to be really hard. So that's number 2 is going to be that circadian eating and circadian fasting. So if you are going to fast, which I think fasting can be helpful, don't skip your breakfast because your cortisol, just like, looking at your phone instead of the sun first thing, is going to spike your cortisol really high, right? And that's going to cause all kinds of different energy issues. It's going to cause appetite issues. So I'm a huge breakfast person. I wasn't for a really long time because I was always afraid if I eat breakfast, I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to be hungry all day. That's just not the case. If you give this, I say 2 weeks, your appetite is going to regulate, your sleep, everything's going to regulate, right? So give it a couple of weeks before you make a decision about, I'm not doing breakfast. You have to give it some time. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be sun exposure and red light therapy. And I'm sorry if I've missed some of your comments. I'll do a little like time for Q&A after I get through all 5 of these things here. So if I miss a comment, I'll tell you guys to repost it in just a little bit. Those are my friends who are watching live here. And I appreciate you guys showing up live. It's awesome to have you here. But sun exposure, red light therapy, there is another study that I linked in the information section that actually talks about how sunlight and light on the skin can actually penetrate subcutaneous fat and speed up your metabolism, which is pretty crazy. So I didn't believe it either. But again, that study is in the information section. I actually have a melanocyte gene. So this is probably related to that. But my melanocyte gene makes it so that when I have sunlight on my skin and I'm getting that vitamin D, right, from the UVB, it speeds up my metabolism. So that could be how the study came about, but it wasn't just done on people with the melanocyte gene. It was done on a larger study, a sample size of people. So I believe that getting light on your skin can be really helpful. So you can either use a Sperity vitamin D lamp, or you can just get an EMR Tech red lamp. So I put in the information section the EMR Tech that I use. My discount code is Carnivore Yogi 30 for 30% off, which is a really good deal. I use that guy probably 5 days a week, sometimes six. But I love my red light. There's so many amazing benefits to it. I did a podcast with Chris, who's the owner, all about it. It definitely boosts my mood when it's darker here in the winter. And I use that Sperity vitamin D lamp also. But if you can't get the vitamin D lamp, the red light is also going to give you those same benefits of boosting the metabolism. So yeah, that's a really cool thing you can do. Getting sunlight on your skin, getting light on your skin is another way you can help to boost your metabolism. Number 4 is going to be your sleep hygiene. And yeah, so I talked about this a little bit ago. Your body needs to repair in your sleep. And if you are not repairing in your sleep, then you are not going to have appetite regulation. You're not going to heal. Your cortisol is going to be all over the place. And I don't usually do a bunch of studies in my videos, but there's a lot of cognitive dissonance when we talk about these types of things. Like, people, no, this isn't real. Like, you just need to cut your calories and that's enough. And so people tend to get kind of triggered when I talk about these things. So that's why I have studies to back up all the stuff I'm saying today. But adequate sleep and improving obesity. There's a study that I put in the information section. So if you can get your sleep in a good place, there's another fat burning mechanism there. So I sleep with blackout curtains in the bedroom. I keep the room cold. I keep it dark. And I have a schedule that I am in bed. I try to be in bed by 9 o'clock. I try to turn off my electronics by 7 o'clock. I do my best not to go on social media or any of those things. Sometimes I fail because I know some people are going to be watching like, hey, I sent you direct message and I know good and well it was like after 7 p.m. because you responded. But I do try to keep boundaries the best that I can. Sometimes my like animal brain does take over and I'm like, I gotta check it. But I do try to turn that stuff off at 7 o'clock at night, because again, artificial light at night is going to tell your body it's like noon when it's actually 7 p.m. So that's why after sunset, to just talk about the blue blockers again, I keep the yellow lenses on until about 7 p.m. So it's not necessary to really put the red lenses on until it's like 2 hours before you go to bed, because sun goes down here at like 5:40. So 5:40, I go outside, look at sunset, and then I come inside, put on my yellow blue blockers and keep those on till about 7. That's my time. I know it's 7 o'clock. All the electronics need to go away. I'm going to put the red glasses on. And we do a lot of reading here at night. I read to my daughter. We just finished another book last night. So we just you have to give your body signals. Okay, it's nighttime. You can't be doing a bunch of crazy activity and a bunch of work and going on social media and engaging in the comments and getting yourself all jacked up. It's just not a good idea, because that's going to interrupt your sleep. And sleep is vital for weight loss and for healing, period, for healing. And the other thing with sleep, again, is I try not to eat after sunset. If I do, it's going to be a little cup of broth with maybe some butter in it, or a cup of like hot water with LMNT with electrolytes in it. I love the chocolate salt. That's what I'll do if I have to have a little something. But I just try not to eat a big meal, because again, it also raises your cortisol. I put a study in the information section about that. So eating does elicit a cortisol response. That's not a bad thing. Cortisol is not evil. We need cortisol. It helps the body. It's good. It can heal us, but we just don't want inappropriate amounts of it. So yeah, if you're eating at night, your body's going to make all this cortisol, and that's going to interrupt your sleep. So that's number 4. Number 5 is going to be cold therapy, which I'm very obsessed with right now. And I did put some studies in the information section about how cold therapy helps you lose weight. The mechanism of that is it speeds up your metabolism. It turns your white adipose tissue, which is the fat that's pretty metabolically inefficient, into brown fat. And this is one thing that is, I have a podcast coming up, not this week, but next week with Adrian, who is the inventor of the Morosco Forge, which is a cold plunge, which it's on my wish list to get. I love it. But I started doing cold therapy probably in October. I just started with dunking my face into a bowl of ice, and you can dunk your face, dunk your wrist or your hands. Then I put on a cool fat burner vest. And if you want to know about some of these resources, I have in the information section what's called my quantum guide for 2022 that you can download. Has links to everything I've talked about in this video, as well as like the cool fat burner vest, the filter that I use, the cold plunge tub that I use, all the, the blue blockers I use, everything, if I didn't already put it in the information section. So I started with the cool fat burner vest, got myself acclimated to where I could do that thing for like an hour with no problem. Then I got the cold plunge tub, put it out on my deck. I started with the water at 55 degrees. That was the beginning of November. Now here we are in January, and I'm comfortably, well, it's never comfortable. It's never easy. Let's just be honest. But I can go into 35-degree water for 5 minutes. And my body is literally like a furnace. Like my husband is just like, what the heck? Like, how are you eating that much and not gaining any weight? Actually, you look leaner than you did. Like, what the heck? And it's because my body is very metabolically efficient. So you want to get the collarbone area and then back behind the neck, that area immersed in that cold water. It will speed up your metabolism. So I know men are a lot more like willing to do cold therapy than women are, but I have a big push for people to come on my, to come here in my community and do cold therapy with me as women, because it's not something that we really encourage each other to do. But if you have extra weight, you need to be getting cold. And you don't want to jump necessarily right into a 35-degree cold plunge. I don't really recommend that unless you have a coach and you have somebody there helping you with that. But it is something that can help to speed up your metabolism. And, it's winter right now. It makes sense for us to be doing cold therapy. So yeah, that is something that's very, very important if you guys are looking to burn fat. So that's my list. Number 1, sunrise, blue blockers at appropriate times of the day. Number 2, circadian eating and fasting. Number 3, sun exposure, red light therapy. Number 4, sleep hygiene, very important. And number 5 is cold therapy, cold thermogenesis. And cryotherapy is not the same as cold water immersion. It is not as effective. And I actually burned my skin one time doing cryotherapy. So I don't do it. I just get in the water. Cold shower is not as effective as just a cold plunge. It's something you can start with, again, to help get yourself get adapted, but it's not going to be the same. So that's my 5 things, guys. I will stay on a little bit and answer questions if you guys have them. And again, before I jump into questions, just a quick announcement. Everything I talk about in this video today, I'm doing a workshop on Sunday, January 9th, which is this coming Sunday at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time. It's a full webinar. It's going to come with a guide, and I'm going to just go really into depth on all these topics and do Q&A. I have a lot of people that have sent in questions already of how do I adapt this to my lifestyle as a mom, or how do I do it as somebody who has to be at work before sunrise? Like, how do I make this work? So that's going to be a big part of it. And that course is in the information section if you guys want to come and hang out on Sunday. So I do see one question. Am I still doing low protein? No, I am not. I mean, I don't really call it that. I'm a little bit more intuitive with how I eat. So breakfast for me, and I am going to do a day of eating video for you guys sometime this month in January, because it's been really heavily requested. Breakfast for me is usually some of my breakfast casserole, which is made of like sausage, eggs, goat cheese, and a little bit of heavy cream or half and half baked in the oven, and a spoonful of salmon roe. That's usually breakfast. Lunch, maybe a steak, with some butter. I still eat a lot of carnivore. If I do eat off carnivore, it's avocado. It might be if I cook Brussels sprouts for my family or a little bit of asparagus or something like that, I'll eat it. But just to be honest with you guys, since I've been implementing a lot of these quantum things into my life, I don't have to count, track, weigh, and measure my food. I have not done that since like September. I just quit because I was like, I have to stick into this calorie goal, and I just couldn't do it. I was just like, I'm too hungry, and the weight was still falling off. So I just let go of tracking. Now, I think tracking can definitely be helpful, but if you ask me like how many grams of protein are you eating per day, I have no flipping idea. I have no idea how much protein, how much fat I'm eating. I don't know. I don't know how many carbs I'm eating because some days it's, well, that is a loud plane. Sorry, guys. Some days it's zero because I'm just doing carnivore. And then some days, like I said, like I think last night I made salmon and I had some Brussels sprouts with the salmon, but I didn't weigh and measure that to see like how many grams of carbs are in this, no. But I will eat the protein and fat first. So I had salmon with butter. I ate that first, and then I eat the carbs last because your body uptakes the carbs better that way. Let's see. Any suggestions on detoxing toxins from your body? I was just diagnosed with stage 2 melanoma. Oh, wow. Trying to prep for surgery and healing. Thank you. Okay, so Jack, a couple things just for any kind of cancer, I would start researching and possibly look into getting deuterium depleted water. This is not something I really recommend to the general public. I did 3 months of deuterium depleted water, and it was awesome, but it's different people react differently to it. But there's a ton of research around deuterium depleted water and cancer. So, and I did a whole podcast with Victor from Lightwater here on my channel. So that's the first thing I would do, is get some deuterium depleted water. And he and I talked about it on the podcast. A lot of people that have to go through chemotherapy, they handle it a lot better while they're on the water. So I would look into that. And then, I mean, just detoxing in general, you're going to want to do sauna if you can. You just don't want to overstress your body because chemo is very stressful on the body. I do have one client, and I told him, before he signed on with me, I am not a doctor. I haven't worked with tons of people with cancer, but he was just like, no, I really like you. I just want to work. I'm like, okay. And he basically stayed on a high fat carnivore diet and implemented fasting. He didn't do the water. I'm just trying to get him on the water now because he's in remission from the cancer, but I want to keep him in remission. So I'm trying to convince him to get the water. But he did a lot of fasting, extended fasting, and a high fat carnivore diet. And now he's in remission from like stage 4 cancer. And so it was, he was fighting for his life, and it's terrifying. So yeah. And Jack says, thank you. I'll watch your podcast. I appreciate it so very much. And Jack, I'll be praying for you. That's scary. And sending you lots of love and strength. That's just a scary situation. So I would look into that and look into maybe working with someone to do some fasting and get yourself in a deep state of ketosis, because that can be very protective as well. Because what deuterium depleted water does is basically mimics a lot of what ketosis does, right? Which is deplete deuterium from the body. Let's see. John says, does cold therapy have to be water-based, or would morning chores in 20-degree weather be enough? So that's a great question. And it's definitely very helpful. It will give you metabolic benefits, especially if you're out there in like, tank top, shorts, t-shirt. That's definitely going to give you some metabolic benefits. As far as what it does is with healing the body, the water does something different than the air. And Adrian and I talk about that in the podcast. It's not going to be out this Wednesday, but the Wednesday after next, which is, let's see, the 10th, 11th, like the 12th of January, I think is the day that podcast will come out. And it was so good. I wanted to put it out immediately, but Rudy, I had done that podcast with Rudy. That's coming out this week, Viva Ray's podcast. I think you guys are going to really love it because it goes into depth about a lot of these other topics as well. But yeah, cold therapy, you can do it outside. I mean, I have people that are like, I'm terrified. I don't even want to think about getting in the water. People in my private group, and they're standing or they can't get in the water for various reasons. And they're just, standing in shorts and a t-shirt outside in, 20-degree weather. And yeah, your body has to work hard to warm itself back up. And that's what's creating that brown adipose tissue. So there's definitely benefits to it. Any other questions, guys, while I'm on here? I don't know if I missed any. Millie says, Happy New Year and Happy Carnivore Month. Happy New Year and Happy Carnivore Month to you too. And I am doing, mostly carnivore right now. Like I said, I had some Brussels sprouts, but it's like just a few, and I didn't weigh and measure it. I don't really care. But what I'm trying to do is mimic like what my ancestors would do, like what is going on like outside. We don't have apples growing. We don't have a bunch of fruit growing. We don't have all those things. So the time to do carb cycling would be summertime if you were going to do it, and not winter time. It's just not ancestrally appropriate. Your body, UVB light actually helps deplete glycogen from the body. So that's another reason why if you're going to do those things, summertime is much more appropriate. But I am going to work on a day of eating for you guys. But typically it's breakfast casserole on repeat with a spoonful of salmon roe, because the DHA is extremely important for the body, especially when it comes to all these things that we're doing, that they work better if you have adequate DHA in the body. So I do that spoonful of salmon roe probably 5 days a week, and you can get it online at Vital Choice, I think is the name of the place that I send people. I happen to get salmon roe at my local Whole Foods. It was just on sale for like $8.99 for a jar. So I just bought a ton of it. You can freeze it. You can, put it up into like little tablespoon portions, keep it in your freezer. I don't mind the taste. Some people hate it, but I really don't mind it. But that's usually my breakfast, and lunch is usually like steak with butter. I mean, and then I might have later in the day some broth with butter or element tea with butter, something like that. I do eat dairy now. I wasn't able to eat dairy for a long time, but I will eat. I love raw dairy from a local farm here. That's so freaking delicious. I was like anti-dairy for a long time, but I love raw dairy. So I'll eat raw cheese, raw heavy cream, raw cream. I don't really do raw milk because I just don't need a lot of milk personally. But yeah. All right, guys, any other questions before I jump off? I wanted to just pop in and do this 5 things for you guys so that you can get started in the new year. And I hope it was really helpful. I hope it's encouraging. A lot of people just really stuck and kind of like on the diet wheel. And diet is important. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say you can go eat, cookies and cakes and whatever. It is important for us to get proper fuel. If you can work with a local farmer, that is the best thing you can do. But if all you can do is get some steak from the grocery store, it's a hell of a lot better than eating Doritos and Pop-Tarts. I'm just going to say that. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for watching today. Short and sweet live stream. Well, short and sweet for me. Some people can do a 10-minute live stream. I'm not capable of that. And check out the podcast coming out Wednesday with my friend Rudy from Viva Rays. And any questions, leave them in the comments and I will check them. All right, guys, have an awesome, awesome Monday. Happy New Year. I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye.